What is up, people? So, seems like the Comic Wonder, or I should say Mr. Comic Wonder, we're going to talk about Avengers versus X-Men. So it says here, Avengers versus X-Men movie setup in Doctor Strange Multiverse of Madness. So let's see what he has pulled, let's see what he dug up so far since watching the Doctor Strange Multiverse of Madness.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Cosmic Wonder, where we talk all things Marvel.
Avengers versus X-Men.
I'm your host, Warren Thompson, and Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness set up something that is going to be insanely huge in the MCU.
What is it?
I think it also sets something up that fans might not be expecting, but will for sure want to see.
I wouldn't expect it. Doctor Strange.
And that is an Avengers versus the X-Men storyline. Now, before you start thinking that this could be just another Civil War storyline, while that could be a possibility, I actually don't think it's going to be like that at all. I think this is going to be a full-on battle, a full-on war with the Avengers and the X-Men and more. And to top it all up, I actually think it is going to be a multiversal war. And this will set up the events that eventually lead us to
Avengers versus X-Men,
which Doctor Strange in the
fans
Multiverse
will
of
lose
Madness
it.
Clearly set up. And if you've seen Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness, you might know where I'm going with this.
Illuminati.
But if you haven't, we are going to be talking about some massive spoilers, so this is your spoiler.
Try to go somewhere around the
Illuminati.
Illuminati.
Be sure to subscribe so you don't miss out on any of the latest videos. So, of course, in Multiverse of Madness, we were introduced to the Illuminati, which consisted of Professor Xavier, who of course was a mutant, Mr. Fantastic, who of course is part of the Fantastic Four, and of course Black Bolt, who is an Inhuman. Now, we don't have any of these people or groups in the MCU yet. That we know of.
No.
Of course, they can exist and probably do exist in
Not
our
yet.
universe. But I don't think that the mutants and the Fantastic Four in our universe are actually going to be the problem here. I think it's going to be the groups in the other Ultimate Universe, which I'll explain in a bit, are actually going to be the problem because Wanda, from our universe via dreamwalking, is the one who killed all of the strongest leaders of the groups in that universe. And I'm guessing that there probably are going to be some repercussions for what Wanda did. And what Doctor Strange did as well by traveling to that universe and bringing the Scarlet Witch there. However, let me just add that I think the introduction of the mutants and the Fantastic Four in our universe,
I would beg to differ.
Definitely has to
Doctor
happen
Strange did not drew Wanda there. He knew that Wanda was going to be there anyway because he wants to get the American. She wanted to get American Chazette.
Members of the Fantastic
I wouldn't
Four,
say I would kind of disagree with that.
Sue Storm, the Invisible Woman, her brother and brother-in-law of Reed Richards.
As a matter of fact, Nomar is the one that brought him into
Richards' his best friend, the Thing. Plus, not to mention,
he's the one that
son,
put him into
Franklin
Illuminati.
Richards,
So technically, it's more Illuminati's. Nomar's fault.
Franklin is literally god tier. In fact, at one point in time in the comics, Galactus is actually dead. But then Franklin revives him, and then Galactus becomes his herald. Also, not to mention another version of Franklin Richards in the Earth 9997 universe manages to evolve and actually becomes Galactus himself, taking the Silver Surfer as his herald. So, this insanely powerful mutant is the son of Reed Richards, who was just murdered by the Scarlet Witch. And here's the thing, in the comics, Franklin Richards has the power to warp reality, kind of like the Scarlet Witch. He also has the ability to literally create universes. And even as an infant, he was extremely powerful and managed to save the Fantastic Four then. And I'm gonna guess that he's pretty upset that Daddy just died at the hands of a witch. And I'm guessing that the X-Men are gonna be pretty pissed off as well that their leader, Professor Xavier, and the head of the school that literally takes in mutants was just killed. And Black Bolt was the king of the Inhumans, so I'm pretty sure a lot of people are gonna be pissed off there as well. Now, clearly there was some type of an Avengers team because Mordo says that Captain Peggy Carter was the first Avenger. So they might have a group that's going to seek revenge too. They know that the Scarlet Witch didn't die, and they probably don't want to risk her being alive in the multiverse where she can kind of do whatever she wants. Plus, not to mention, they might think that our universe, Earth 616, might be a threat to them since it essentially already was. And it could threaten their universe still with an incursion. So I think
which would cause even more chaos chaotic
multiverse
to
and
both
the heroes, who right now
multiverse.
aren't exactly the
Or both
Avengers team,
universe.
but hey, they'll have
It will
to
cause even more.
and here's where I think we're going to be getting the Avengers versus the X-Men, the Fantastic Four, the Inhumans, and whoever else might want to seek revenge. But it might not even be about revenge or vengeance. They might just want to take out the Scarlet Witch. And the Scarlet Witch's reality warping powers going up against Franklin Richards' reality warping powers, I think will definitely ramp up the dangers of an incursion occurring. And I do think that that's all going to take place. Because that is exactly how Secret Wars happens in the comics. In the comics, incursion happens between the Earth 616 universe
And I
and the
forgot
Ultimate
Secret War
universe.
was coming
And if
out
you notice
too.
in the Illuminati
Very
scene,
soon.
where the Illuminati was
So they
telling
might be
Doctor
part of it.
Strange the truth, they say that his ultimate self is the one that formed the Illuminati in the first place. So this actually could be the so-called Ultimate Universe. Now, obviously, things are a little bit different from the comics, but since Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness focuses on this universe, and the Illuminati and the teams of this universe, and not to mention the threat of incursion, I do believe that this is the universe that our Earth will eventually collide with an incursion, and this will set up the events of Secret Wars, which will in turn cause everybody to have to work together. Now,
Right.
it is worth noting that Franklin Richards in the comics is the one to restore the multiverse. And I think it was very, very specific of the movie, and they made it a point to mention that Reed Richard had kids and a wife that was still alive.
Right, he mentioned
Marvel
that.
is pretty intentional with everything they do. And since they introduced the Fantastic Four, I think this was pretty intentional. Now, I've seen a lot of talk online about maybe the Beyonder, Galactus, or another huge villain appearing to be the main villain of Secret Wars, since that's how it was in the comics, with specific talk about God Emperor Doom. And while I do think that he is going to be introduced into the MCU sometime soon because the Fantastic Four are coming, I don't believe that he actually has to be in the MCU for Secret Wars to happen. Remember, the movies
No,
don't
he can
come
have his own
comics
movie.
page for
Doomsday,
page.
he
They
can
take general
he can have
stories
the
or
all
some
movie,
ideas
or
for
he can
stories,
be
and they create
in
movies that are amazing.
in one
So
of the
don't expect a
Fantastic
shot-for-shot
Four movies.
Secret
You don't
Wars,
have to
just
be
like
in
Infinity
an
War
Avengers
didn't have
movie.
the X-Men
You
or
really
the
don't.
Fantastic Four in it either. So everybody's been wondering who was going to be the villain, but Marvel has already set up the villain, Kang. Kang has already literally mentioned the war between different universes. He literally says multiversal war. And he says that the multiversal war was between his variants fighting each other. So we already know that Kang, and many different versions of him, want to rule the multiverse. And as we saw at the end of Loki, the sacred timeline is no more. A bunch of different branch timelines have been created.
Let's see if he's
and that
gonna be
means
as
that a
villain
bunch
and
of
as
Kangs
savage
are coming.
as Thanos.
So as far as who the villain of
That'll
Secret
be
Wars is
interesting.
going to be, I believe that we actually already have our villain. He's set up already. Kang the Conqueror, a true Kang the Conqueror, not He Who Remains, not the same person we met at the end of Loki, because as he explains, if you think he's evil, wait till you see his variants. So Kang the Conqueror is being introduced in Ant-Man and the Wasp.
So you gotta be even more
where I assume they will explore
evil
more of the multiverse and
than
the
that
quantum realm.
Kang.
And I think in this movie we're going to
Loki,
see the groundwork being
which I did
laid
not
for
finish
Secret Wars
watching
to
the series.
actually happen.
I
It's already been
didn't like
happening.
it.
We literally heard about
But because
incursion
if that
in
if that's
Multiverse
gonna be
Madness,
involved
and
through
how
that,
it's a big threat.
I might take it out
Universes
just
colliding.
because of that.
And now
you
we
know?
have a villain coming that wants to rule the entire multiverse. And it's gonna take the heroes coming together from different universes to defeat him. A multiversal threat takes a multiversal team. Let's just hope that all the stuff that goes down between them, the Avengers versus the X-Men, gets cleared up so they can get together to take on Kang the Conqueror. And in the meantime, let me know.
That'll
what
get
you
off
think
the
about
chain.
this
They
in the
both
comments down
Avengers
below. Would you like to
and
see an
X-Men
Avengers versus the X-Men
collide together
and other
to
groups
take down
movie? And let
Kang
me know
the
how
Conqueror.
excited you are for
Variant.
Secret Wars. Don't forget to
That
like
would've
the
been
video
off the
and
chain.
subscribe so you don't miss out on the latest news. For live updates, you can follow me on Instagram and Twitter. And as always, thank you all so much for watching. Woof woof.
Good perspective, Cosmic Wonder. Very good perspective. Very interesting details that you bring up and everything else. Now, you know that reminds me of the way how you had it all tangled up, which, in a way, it kind of reminds me of the Civil War, Captain America Civil War. Like, you remember when Captain America and Tony Stark, they all had different take on who the Avengers was and what do they believe in and what have you. Like Tony, he kind of didn't want to, he didn't want to get involved with the government and the military and everything else, and he didn't want to have a fight with them anymore. While Cap, He just believes he just do what's right. They both have similarities. They both try to do what's right, but Cap, like, he'll do whatever it takes to kind of like, you know, cause his agenda is like, look, you can't really save everybody, but we do what we gotta do to make sure we can save as many people as possible. There was a lot of afraid and stuff like that. But anyway, I'm not gonna get into the Civil War. So it reminds me of that because it seems like maybe when the Illuminati, the rest of the Avengers or rest of the X-Men that were in that multiverse in the Illuminati scene, it seems like, they're gonna fight, our Earth versus the future Earth. They're gonna fight together, and then next thing you know, they'll come together as once again to take down Kang the Conqueror. That would be that. I see that kind of company. I can see that happening too. I can kind of see that. But listen, I tell you this. If it's true that they're gonna do Avengers versus X-Men movie, listen, there are a couple things that I want. I want a couple of characters to come back already. The first and foremost, you already know I'm going with Captain America. Listen, I know we got Sam as Captain America, but we can also have two Captain Americas. I mean, we can have Steve Rogers and we can have Sam Smith, both teaming up. I still think that they can still fight together. You know what I mean? And of course you got, Tony Stark, Iron Man, and even if Robert Downey Jr., if he didn't want to play as Iron Man anymore, there can be somebody else, like Tom Cruise for instance, that can play as Tony Stark. So I still think Tony Stark, he can still come back in a different multiverse. Cap, he can come back in today's multiverse and go back in time to be as a super soldier again. So he's still good. Cap is good. So those are two things. And those are the two things. And the next one, we gotta have different Spider-Man multiverse. You got the Tobey Maguire Spider-Man, Andrew Garfield Spider-Man, Tom Holland Spider-Man, and Miles Morales Spider-Man. We gotta have them in there as well. And this is from the Avengers side. I haven't got to X-Men yet because there's only one guy. Yeah, only one that I want to see him return. And I think you guys know what I'm going here when I talk about him. But let's focus on the Avengers part first. So we got Cap, we got Tony, we got the different multiverse, different universes of Spider-Mans. What else? We can have the Smart Hulk and the Savage Hulk fighting together. I think that can possibly happen. Well, then again, I know you're gonna have the She-Hulk as well. That's teaming up with the Smart Hulk as well, which I already saw the trailer of the series. If you haven't checked it out, go check it out. You'll know what I thought about this series. But I can kind of see that, but I also want to see the Savage Hulk in this movie too. I don't think it's gonna happen, but you never know with Marvel. What else? Thor, of course, Savage Thor that we all know. And as far as and I almost forgot. Well, no, that's X-Men. So I might add another character in the X-Men, which that one I'm not 100% sure. But anyway, let's jump into X-Men. Marvel, those are the people I want in the Avengers versus X-Men, or if not in there, at least in the Secret War or some huge Avenger movie. You know what I mean? As far as X-Men goes, there's only one guy, maybe two, but one particular in my mind that I want to see him in the Marvel movie. And that is, without a shot of a doubt, the Claw Guy, aka the Savage, aka Wolverine. We've been waiting as a fan, as a Marvel fan, and as a Wolverine fan, and as an X-Men movie, we have been waiting for Wolverine to show up in the Avenger movie, or at least in part of an Avenger movie, for years. For years. And listen, we know that, when we saw the movie Logan, technically, yeah, he's dead, but that story was happening years later, or what could possibly happen. This was basically, future Wolverine. The present Wolverine, he's still alive. So, and I know that, Hugh Jackman, he wanted to rest the character. But shit, man, if you don't want to play the character, just like with Robert Downey Jr., playing, they just like they can find somebody else that can play Iron Man, aka Tony Stark, they can find somebody else who can play as good, or if not better, than Hugh Jackman to play as the Wolverine. So, Marvel, I hope somewhere down the line you can bring him back, and I think the fans, I know that the fans been waiting for that for years. They've been talking about it. There have been rumors about it for years. Matter of fact, there were rumors that he was gonna be, him and Deadpool was gonna be on the Infinity War, which my gut was telling me, like, I knew they weren't never gonna show up, because to me it didn't quite fit into the story of the Avengers series, But now we have the X-Men coming involved. Yeah, it makes sense. It makes so much sense to bring them in. Now, obviously, I would have been cool. I thought it would have been off the chain if Wolverine would have showed up in Infinity War. But listen, the movie Infinity War was pure badass, with or without Wolverine. Alright, so I don't even want to hear all that bullshit. But yeah, and then there's another one, which I'm not too sure if he's X-Men or he's just a Marvel character. I think he might be X-Men, but you guys know more of these Marvel characters than I do. But another one is Deadpool. I mean, Deadpool needs to be involved, especially if he's part of the X-Men series or characters. Why not have him and Wolverine fight together? I mean, listen, I guess Deadpool and the Wolverine, they don't quite see eye to eye or whatever, but listen, man, we're gonna have Avengers versus X-Men. We gotta do it right, man. We gotta do it right. If not in that movie, then at least we gotta have it in the Secret War movie. I think that's gonna happen somewhere down the line. Let's keep our hopes alive, and hoping Marvel and Kevin Feige listen to what we gotta say and give us what we really, really want. You know what I mean? Oh man, let me tell you, man, if that were to happen, if all those characters would have come back and Wolverine comes and Deadpool comes, and keep this in mind, if you remember, in the Illuminati part, Wanda, the Scarlet Witch, killed Professor X, and you know that Wolverine is very close with Professor X, so I mean, it's a perfect time for him to come back, at least in the Avengers versus X-Men. And like I said, if Hugh Jackman don't want to play, there can be somebody else who can take over his spot and play as good, or if not better than Hugh Jackman, to be played in as the Wolverine character. So, man, if that is true, then Marvel has a big opportunity to talk about that movie for years. Avengers versus X-Men, and different types of Avengers, not just Doctor Strange, the Scarlet Witch, and Thor, and the ones that are quote quote still alive now. No, I'm talking about in different universe or different multiverse. Man, shit, I'll be ready to go by then. And I just hope that works. Matter of fact, I bet the Russos can probably do a movie of the Avengers versus X-Men, cause shit, they did off the chain with all the Marvel movies, the Captain America, Winter Soldier, the Civil War, the Avengers, Age of Ultron, all the way to Avengers Endgame. So, listen, ain't nobody better than the Russo's brothers for as there. But I'm sure if not, if they don't want to do it, I'm sure there's gonna be another directors out there that wouldn't mind taking over that role to, direct that movie. But man, so what do you guys think? What do you guys think? If it's true that they're gonna have an Avengers versus the X-Men movie, who do you guys want to be in that movie? And I'm pretty sure a lot of you guys will probably think the similar way as myself. If not, then at least the Wolverine character, because we've been waiting for that for years and it hasn't happened. So this is to me this is a good opportunity for him to return, But let me know in the comment below, what do you guys think? And if you enjoy my reaction and my rant or my thoughts, whatever you want to call it, if you enjoyed this video, you can go ahead, hit the like button, subscribe, and share, and make sure y'all click on the notification bell so that way you guys can get more upcoming videos in the near future. And if there's any videos you guys want me to do a reaction or do a challenge, you can always just leave it on the comment section down below. And if you have any questions for me, you can either leave it on the comment section as well, or you can email me at greatenzo97@gmail.com. Alright guys, well, until next time, peace out.